And hello again, YouTube. It is 11:45 p.m. Tuesday, December 21st. I can't believe I wasted that much time at QT, but so much good stuff. So hard to decide what I want. Anyway, yeah, it does really frustrate me what that QT is turning into. I'm sure. I mentioned in a previous video, although to be honest, it might have been the video that the video I shot on the NUU phone that got deleted by the weird little bug where after shooting video, when I go back into my gallery, it shows that it's an unsupported file type. So maybe I didn't post a video of it, come to think of it. But anyway, within the last couple of weeks, they've removed the picnic tables from the front of that QT, which is pretty wild, because I mean that QT's, I feel like it's been open for less than 6 months. Definitely less than a year. And so those are brand new picnic tables, and it's just become such a loitering hotspot for homeless people that in an attempt to get less loitering homeless people there, they've got rid of the picnic tables, which kind of sucks for me. I mean, I'm not a homeless person, but I do buy food there quite a bit, and sometimes when I buy the taquitos or I buy a drink or something there, when I'm on foot, it was nice to be able to just sit at those tables and eat the food, especially if I was getting ready to get on a bus where I'm not allowed to bring a fountain drink on the bus. But yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. Anyway, yeah, kind of frustrating the way that's all going down. Like, I just stepped out of there and had not one but two different women panhandle me. One asked for $1 and one asked for a spare dollar, and one asked for spare change. Yeah, I'm kind of not sure how I'm paying my rent this month. Do you have any spare money? No, you don't. So quit asking me. What makes you think I have spare money? Come on now. Anyway, it really bothers me that people are doing that on private property. But I mean, with all the other nonsense that the QT clerks have to deal with, it's not like they can really run them off. But anyway, let's see something else about QT. Oh yeah, so anyway, while I was in there, speaking of videos that I shot and tried to put on my YouTube channels, vlog videos that have disappeared. A few weeks ago, I had one that I shot, and it did get a few views. I did talk to somebody that actually viewed it, where a woman, presumably a homeless woman, who looked like she was 30 or over 30, said she was 18, and threw popcorn at me and yelled at me and just, shouting obscenities. Hey, don't record me. Hey, I'm just recording what's going on in the world around me. If you're in the world around me, you're part of that, and you have no expectation of privacy standing in front of QT. By the way, there's cameras above you recording. Anyway, that one was fucking psycho. Anyway, I think I just saw her inside the QT in a wheelchair, which is funny because, I mean, she's not disabled, so it's probably a stolen wheelchair. And she got kicked out. Like, she was she was yelling at other presumably homeless people across the store, and the clerk came over while I was actually posting new wrap snacks ramen on Snapchat. And for those unfamiliar with wrap snacks, they've existed for quite some time as chips and popcorn and other type, like, bagged snacks. And they have a flavor, and it'll have the picture of some popular rapper on it. And oh my gosh, Cardi B, I know, had one. I forget some of the other ones. I've bought them before, especially if they're on clearance sale. They're not bad chips. They're not bad snacks. but the packaging and the marketing is just hysterical to me. Anyway, the brand has expanded to cups of ramen. So I was stabbing that, and that's when one of the cashiers there at the QT kicked the woman, the homeless woman in the wheelchair out. You can't be in here, blah blah blah. And I'm 100% sure it was the same chick that was walking around just fine a few weeks ago, throwing popcorn at me and getting all in my face. So. Anyway, there's another thing I wanted to talk about, but I'm already home, so I guess I gotta wrap this up. Especially since I want to get in and eat. I'm hungry. But I did mention at the beginning of the last video I did about Randolph Road, and I keep trying to call it Randolph Drive. It is most definitely Randolph Road, which makes sense because it was a country road, not a drive, but a road, and I honestly think the road predates driving. So there's that. Anyway, the last video I did where I kind of walked through a kind of ghetto-rific apartment complex that had loads and loads of kids playing out in the yard, which, to be honest, is kind of refreshing. Like, as much as it seemed kind of chaotic, seeing all these poor kids playing outside, it was sort of refreshing to see a bunch of kids playing outside, as opposed to just sitting like zombies looking at their smartphone and tablet screens. So maybe there is one thing that parents in poverty are doing right with their kids. So there's that. But anyway, at the beginning of that video, I had commented that I had applied for a job that day that I wanted to talk about what I wasn't going to talk about yet, and I just overshot my place, so I may as well talk about it now. So I've been having these meetings now for a while, and I'm wondering, I'm not even sure off the top of my head how many I've had, but it feels like kind of my wheels are spinning. Like, this guy is supposed to help people who have mental, ill, that are severely mental ill, to the point that they're getting services from clinics like I am, from LifeWell. That's the name of that clinic. I always forget the name of that clinic. From LifeWell, to basically help, give assistance in finding work. And I mean, you guys, love Adam to death, and he was earnest, but I just don't feel like he's got the kind of connections that maybe doing something like that. Like, he's just basically using Indeed.com for me, and I'm sure I could probably figure out how to navigate Indeed.com myself. But I just feel like, certainly since I started this project with him, that most of my time has just been spent spinning my wheels with recruiters, and all this really feels like it's been happening is it feels like they've just been harvesting my data. And I'm just, at this point, the email address that I set up for that is absolutely being bombarded with emails from recruiters about this company hiring, that company hiring, that company hiring. But every application that I've sent out, I can go to he showed me how I can go to my Indeed.com profile, and it shows that my application has been reviewed and nothing has come up. No job offers are coming at all. I mean, I think the one probably would have been a job offer, the one I went out to at 75th Avenue and Indian School, had I actually taken it. But I'm really, really not down to work in an air-conditioned warehouse. And we actually saw one on Monday that was paying a lot higher than your typical warehouse job. But then when we went further down the description, that was this whole sort of thing. So I think I'm not the only person who doesn't want to be freezing my ass off in a giant walk-in cooler. It's just like, yeah, not worth minimum wage for me. Nope, don't want to do it. At one point, I guess I got, I don't know. I was talking about just how there's so many jobs that they just don't pay enough to be worth. What's the point in getting a job that doesn't pay enough to pay your rent? And then, and I told her, it's like, yeah, well, that's why I walked away from, when they were talking about hiring me as a dispatcher, and they seemed pretty earnest about hiring me at Yellow Cab. But then when they said they don't pay anything higher than $13 an hour, I'm like, yeah, nope, not doing it. And she's like, well, maybe you should have took it, because at least then you'd have something. And I can certainly see where she's coming from, that being that she paid most of my rent last month. But, but let's not forget that I paid like all of her rent for 2+ years. Anyway, moving on. Um, yeah, the um, but I told her, it's like, yeah, well, that's something that's like a professional, a semi-professional job that involves some skill that I'm heavily experienced in. No, I mean, I could be over at um, oh, I forget the name of the burger place. It's like an upper tier burger place. I want to say Smash Burger, but it's not Smash Burger. But anyways, a burger place over in Arcadia Crossing, just north of the Taco Bell. I don't eat there because it's to me their burgers are just way overpriced for what you get. Um, but anyway, I noticed when I was there the other day that they had a now hiring sign for $15 an hour, and I told her, like, why would I get a dispatch job where I've got to travel that far, where I'm doing something specialized when I've got this burger place right around the corner, and they're hiring starting at $15 an hour. She's like, well, why aren't you working there? And I'm like, because I don't really want to be flipping burgers. And then she's kind of like, well, if I had bills to pay, I'd be flipping burgers. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, until she got this work from home job that she had. She did have another work from home job for a very short period of time before it, and prior to that, she hadn't had a job in ages. Just collecting disability and getting whatever grants and stuff she was doing through her. I mean, granted, she was going to ASU, and that's cool, and that's respectable, but yeah, I don't see you dropping what you're doing to flip burgers. And I'm not going to do it either. I don't know. At some point I might kind of have to, but at this point I'm still kind of hoping for something better. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So anyways, I'm going through all this stuff with Adam about noticing how, like, I actually got an email from one of the warehouses saying that they had considered my application and decided to go with other more qualified applicants. And he told me, he's like, well, that's pretty unusual. Most people don't even bother to let you know if they've decided on somebody else. And then I saw where a bunch of my applications, and at this point they've all been for warehouse type positions, and other ones where they were where I could see in Indeed.com that they had considered my application, and then, and that's, so it's been reviewed. They haven't wrote me back, asking for more information in an interview. So, yeah, pretty much. And I told him, I said, well, I said, if they're, most likely they're looking at my application, and the only two jobs that I have listed in it, because it's the only thing I've really done for the past, decade-ish, is I've got my karaoke, my self-employment, which a lot of times employers just put zero value on self-employment. Well, my self-employment with my karaoke, which includes DJing, video DJing, but also putting the systems together and doing system installs and distributed video installs, and I also put in there like audio video solutions, because basically I've done all manner of audio video installation and sound and configuration work, and I've done a lot of stuff like that for the bars above and beyond like what was needed for me as a karaoke DJ. So I've got that experience listed in there. And then I've got that I was a juicer for 2 years for Lime, which, what does that experience even relate to, right? That's all I've done. Like, that's really all I've done in the last decade. So, I'm sure somebody looking to hire somebody for a warehouse position, even though they're entry-level positions, they're looking for somebody who's worked in a warehouse before, which is not me. And I told him, I said, are there audio video jobs listed? Because at least the experience that I have, at least if they look at my little resume here, they can see that I've got some experience in that, as opposed to me applying for something where I have zero experience in that field. And he's like, well, I guess we can look at that. And several of the positions that we looked at, I didn't even apply for because they wanted some kind of certification. If it's a certification, and I don't even know what the certification is for, not only do I not have it, but I don't even know what the certification is for. Obviously, I'm not qualified for that job. Fair enough. I'm convinced I could learn anything like that and learn it quickly. I've always had an aptitude to that, and I've gone from the days when everything was done over coax with RF modulation through composite and S video and component video and I've even used SCART and DVI, VGA, HDMI. I mean, pretty much every video standard there is, I've used it and configured it. And I'm really good at adapting like any video standard, any other video standard, and ditto for audio. And I told him, it's like, if you saw my home theater system, it's ridiculous. I'm equipped to play everything from a Betamax cassette on up to a 3D Blu-ray to a 4K Blu-ray. I have everything, and I've got it all, running in one single system with multi-channel digital and analog audio. And he's like, oh. I said, yeah, I'm very knowledgeable on that stuff. I've just never really worked for anybody else other than when I was a kid. And I talked to him about how I had talked to my best friend from back when I was 19, Ken Coons, how he had, I'm not sure if I mentioned that in my vlogs, but he randomly called me. I don't think I've actually talked to him since I was, probably 20 years old. And we kind of got in touch with each other via social media, I want to say maybe 4 years ago. It's been quite a while. And we exchanged some messages and some emails, but like we didn't actually talk on the phone. And I talked on the phone with him till my battery died, which to be honest was probably only about 10 maybe 15 minutes because I didn't have much of a battery at the time. But we were talking about just different things we've done, and he was talking about some of these amazing jobs that he's had since then. And I'm thinking, man, you went on this great trajectory, and I just kind of became a cab driver, and then my life's been like different shades of fucked up since. I said, other than, my karaoke business, I've had some interesting stuff with that. But anyway, and it got me thinking, it's like, wow, here I am, 51 years old. I'm trying to get entry-level warehouse positions. I'm not getting hired because I don't have any experience working in a warehouse. I'm sure the fact that I'm middle-aged isn't helping me any. And that got me thinking about, man, when I was 18 and 19 and 20, I got these amazing jobs in broadcasting, which granted didn't pay much and maybe weren't all that amazing, but like I was the morning guy for several radio stations. I did afternoons. I was a music director. I ran soundboards for sports. I did newscasting. I was a broadcaster for several years and had some level of success with it. And, as a high school dropout, like I got into it and I just applied and talked to people and applied, and I got those positions because I was persistent. And it's like, now, and Ken asked us, well, why didn't you ever pursue that further? And I'm just like, well, I said, I got here to Phoenix and I just didn't have any success finding anything. And then, first day behind the wheel of a cab, I made like $250. And I had a car, which is something I hadn't had in about 2 years. And at that point, I was just hooked being a cab driver. I was a cab driver for years. I loved it. I made way more money as a cab driver and as a cab company owner than I ever made as a cab owner-operator than I ever made in broadcasting. And it just felt like it was more stable work. And honestly, I kind of, in some ways, I enjoyed it more. And he was like, that just seems so hard to believe. I'm like, yeah, but that's just what I did for the better part of 19 years. But I was thinking to myself, like, my God, I got, mostly talked myself into those positions. But I feel like things are different now. Like, I don't feel like at least with what I'm experiencing, like every application is just being done through web forms and recruiters and these, Job Hat and Indeed.com and Monster.com and those type recruiting sites. It's not like people are really talking to people anymore. But I'm sure at some level it's happening, but it's not happening to me. Anyway, so we're looking at jobs that are. So it's like, well, maybe I should be looking at see what audio video jobs are out there. And one of the ones that we ran across, and this is the one I was alluding to before I did the last video, showing remnants of Randolph Road, was for a company called FTR, for the record. And I when he said that, I'm like, and he's saying, well, it's installing audio video systems in stuff, and the job was described in very generic terms, and I'm like, wait a minute, FTR, you mean like the court report, the electronic records, the court reporting electronics records company? And of course, it means nothing to Adam. He's just had a blank stare. He starts scrolling through the listing, and it says FTR for the record, #1 in court and legal recording. I'm like, actually, I know a lot about that. I'm very familiar with that. And I had a really unique court order that I managed to fly through. I accomplished some interesting stuff in litigating my own custody stuff with Allison between when my ex-wife filed a divorce against me, and then I litigated all that myself for many years before at one point I finally gave up just because things had got bad, and I don't want to talk about that. I've bellyached that on this vlog before, and I'm in a good mood. I don't want to even reminisce on that. But one of the more interesting orders that came out of that is I actually got a judge to approve as a cost-saving measure, rather than the county pay, because I was qualifying for deferrals on everything due to the fact that I was way below poverty and completely destitute, and also had been found disabled through mental health reasons. Rather than have, I had some stuff that was going to an appellate court, and rather than have transcripts done at the expense of the county, which would be super expensive, I made the suggestion in a motion that I could transcribe them myself if I was allowed, if they would waive the cost of digital records, which were done, some are audio and some are audio and video. And those are done by FTR, the company, for the record, which has a very proprietary software and very proprietary file format as well, which is what they put on special CDs, which are called FTR CDs. They're CD-ROMs with their proprietary format in it, which has to be read by their proprietary software. Anyway, so that ended up with me, because it was such an unusual order, ended up with me getting in direct contact with a guy named Ken. I cannot for the life of me remember his last name, but a guy named Ken who, at least at the time, and he still was, I want to say 5 years ago, but at the time was the director of the electronic records department for all of the Maricopa County Superior Court. And this guy works hand in hand with FTR. And anyway, it kind of brought me back to thinking, hey, when I was in radio, how did I get these gigs that as a kid I shouldn't have really been qualified for? Like, how did that happen? And a lot of it was because I knew people that knew people. And sure, I dropped off a resume and I dropped off a demo tape. Back then, you can drop off your demo on a cassette, and there was nothing really stood out. But I knew people that would make calls to people that would, hey, did you get a tape from Dan, a guy who calls himself Dan, or Dan Mahoney, used to go by Dan Mahoney, and we're like, yeah, and that person would be like, that person knew that person, and it's like, hey, just so you know, that guy is really talented. You should give him a shot, and he's probably willing to do whatever job you give him at this point. And anyway, I'm thinking I need to go talk to Ken. Because Ken and I had amazing discussions once I started getting the CDs and stuff from him. Because, of course, every time I need another CD, I'd go up to his office. I got to the point where, his office is so hidden, way up in the top of the Central Court Tower in the main facility for the Maricopa County Superior Court. And it just kind of got to the point where, and even after it got to the point where I wasn't really doing that anymore, I would regularly see Ken, because I was downtown a lot. I'd see him, he rode the rapid bus home as opposed to driving downtown, which is awesome. And a lot of times I'd see him waiting for the bus, and we'd chat. And or I'd just randomly run into him while he was going out for lunch. And him and I just really clicked because we just have such a mutual interest in in court reporting and audio video and all the tech that surrounds it, and then the legal angle of it. And I mean, there's a lot of people that are into legal stuff. There's a lot of people that are interested in audio video stuff, but that weird little niche where those interests cross, I don't know, me and Ken, and probably the people that run FTR. So, of course, my application was just a generic point-and-click thing through Indeed.com, and I'm sure that doesn't stand out whatsoever. But I'm hoping tomorrow at some point, I want to see if Ken still works down there, and see if I can get his ear for a few minutes and see if maybe, just maybe, he could do an old-fashioned referral and recommendation for me. To be honest, all this stuff I'm looking for, these jobs I'm looking for with Adam, I'm just looking for something to tide me over until I can get another vehicle or get my car fixed. Apparently, what I just get the feeling what's going on with my mechanic is that he wants to see more money, and I don't have more money. I'm going to catch 22 with that. Need another car to get more. Need my car to get more money. Need more money to get my car. And here I am walking around in the middle of the night. But yeah, so I'm generally just looking for I mean, how long I'll stick with a job obviously is going to depend on how much I like it, but I'm just looking at something temporary until I can have a vehicle going again and can start really pursuing my karaoke business and bring it back to what it was. Definitely pre-pandemic, but more specifically pre-me being a lime juicer. And because I did definitely back it off after I started juicing lime, and I love juicing for lime, but that's not really a viable thing anymore, especially not in Arizona. But yeah, I'd like to. Anyway, this one position I applied for with FTR, that's something I could seriously see me making a career out of. That's something that's very fascinating to me. I've long had a strong interest in law. In fact, I'm a hell of a good legal brief writer. I do say so myself. But no, I've had a lot of really qualified lawyers that have actually had me draft briefs for them and have reviewed them, done a couple minor edits, and put their bar number on it. And just like, Dan, they've told me you're really good at this. But because of my mental health issues and then my criminal record and my mental health record, the odds of me getting anywhere with that as a career are like slim to none. But I'm talented at it, and I'm very fascinated by it. But perhaps with FTR, I could kind of make a career going into it in that end, and that would be great. I mean, I can enjoy my my fascination with law and court records, and also with audio video. So, and I feel like if I got in there, and perhaps Ken giving a personal recommendation of, I know this guy Dan, and he's kind of eccentric, but he's your guy. He's your guy. If I could get that kind of a referral, I don't know. I think it could really be a career for me. So, wish me luck. I can't believe I've rambled on about this for 28 minutes, but thanks for listening. And yeah, hopefully Ken's still got the position. I can see him tomorrow.